Dude, are you wearing leather chaps? I can't believe you just threw that up there. Hold up. All right, let me try to focus. I can't focus looking at you like that. Hold up. Let me get rid of that. He said I'm a leather clad maniac. All right. All right, dude. So, okay. Now I was talking about the 12th fret, right? So I'm gonna stay right there just because I'm trying to get you to see something from here anyway. So I'm gonna go from D. All right. So what you're saying is whole, whole, half, whole, whole, whole to half, right? Okay, so in that regard, yes, that's the major scale. And it's going to be in that exact pattern that you explained, right? So it doesn't matter really where you play on the neck. It can be from D. It can be from C. It can be from A. It can be from A sharp. B. C. Doesn't matter. It's always going to be exactly what you just said. And you can move that anywhere. And that's going to be 1, right? Now, if you change the shape, or if it's no longer whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, when you start to fool with that order, that's when you start to change either one, the key, or you're changing the fact that you're in 1. Because when you change that, it changes things. Like literally, you're changing it. So it's no longer going to be 1. It can be, and you're just sharpening and flatting certain notes. That's where we can get into augmented and diminished and minor, right? So if you're, let's just keep it there though. I don't want to confuse you. So yes, that is 1, right? So what you were saying about major, major, minor, right? So again, exactly, dude. If we're right there from D, so there are going to be chords that coincide with every one of those notes. With all 7 of those notes, there's a chord. Into what you just said, yes, it's going to be a major chord or it's going to be a minor chord. Okay? So for that movement, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Back to 1. There's going to be, and I'm out of tune. My guitar's not set up. There's going to be a chord that coincides with each one of those notes. So 1, we're in D major, okay? So if you're in major, well, it's going to be major. G major. Follows the same pattern, right? That would be probably an easier place to start from, or C major. And it follows that same pattern, which is the same as what we just did from D. Okay? So Now think about that. It's not confusing. It's you said it. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And your wholes and your halves. So where are your half steps? In one. If that's one, and that pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 all the way on through, where's the half steps? The half steps are from 3 to 4, 3 to 4, 3, 4, and from 7 to 1. 1, 7 is a half step behind it. 7, 1. From 7 to 1 in the major scale is always going to be a half step. From 3 to 4 in the major scale, always going to be a half step. If you know that, that's like half the battle right there, bro. If you're in any movement of the major scale and you know that 3 to 4 and 7 back to 1 is going to be a half step, it eliminates having to think about so much stuff. So if you say 1, and what you need to memorize, there's like a formula, okay, that really, you got to memorize it. So again, from 1, whether we're in G major or an out of tune C major or D major, there's a lot of different ways you could play D major, right? So the key is all those notes that I'm playing in that chord all fit within the major scale. Look familiar? It's the same chord structure as G major that we play down there openly, right? But it's D. That's what I was saying with the open tuning stuff, with the you can play all those pull-offs and hammer-ons. It sounds real cool because all of those notes, like in C major, dude, you can play all those notes because they're all gonna fit. So D major, a little bit different, but you can make a lot of it work. It just depends on the actual notes of the scale. So if you have all these open notes, E, A, D, G, B, E, if they're a part of the scale, then you can play all those notes openly. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but getting back to the concept of there's a chord that coincides with each of those notes, right? So if you're doing the exact pattern that you showed me, which was whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half back to 1, there's a chord that goes with that note. There's a chord that goes with that note. There's a chord that coincides with that note, so on and so forth, all the way down. And really, you could play any chord, really any chord you want, variation of any chord, but there's a concrete pattern where like chord theory is concerned. So 1 is always going to be major, 2 is going to be minor, 3 is going to be minor, 4 is going to be major, 5 is going to be dominant, which is major, flat 7. 6 is going to be minor, that's why 6 is natural minor because we'll go into that a little bit later. 7's going to be diminished. Really half diminished, but right? 7, 1, 6, 5. It's got that dominant 7 on it. 4, 3. Sorry. 2. And 1. D. Because we're in the key of D. So D is going to be major. E is going to be minor. F sharp is going to be minor. G is going to be major. But G falls on the 4. So D major is your 1. So your 4 is going to be G major because G is the 4th note in the key of D major. D major 1. E 2. F sharp 3. G is going to be your 4. And you can do different, variations of the same chord as long as that D. There's your major. So you got 1, 5, 7. It gets a little bit more confusing. We could go into chord theory after you grasp the concept. And you said it to me. That's why I'm showing you this. Because I think you kind of get this. You got to make the concept. You just got to, that electricity has to arc over to the other side, man. And when it hits, you're going to get it. So 1. Again, we're going from D because I want you to see. You can play all those cool open notes because it falls within the scale. See, they're there. One major, 2 minor, 3 minor, hence minor third, 4 major, 5, it's going to be major, but it's got a flatted 7. It's not, it's dominant. 6 minor, or different ways to play minor chords. When you're doing these, I'm doing 7th chords, so I'm trying to get all 4 notes in, or 4 strings rather. And then your 7 is going to be diminished, which is a double flatted 3rd and a flatted 5. Okay? So it's kind of like half diminished actually. And then back to 1, which is going to be coincident of 1, 3, 5, 7. So I guess the next question I have is, do you understand what make chords major and minor? Because that's going to help you to connect. There's certain things when you start sharping and flatting certain notes, they become minor, they become major. Augmentations are like super major, where diminished is like a double minor. Like, pretty much that's how it goes. I'm not trying to confuse you, dude, or make some long dragged out video. So listen to this, and then you tell me what you get and kind of what you don't get, and then we can take it from there. Yeah. She's wearing leather. What the heck, dude?